Welcome to the Wasteland. I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and thank you for joining us for another little bit of what we call News from the Wasteland. This is our weekly podcast where we gather around the campfire and discuss our thoughts on the state of the proverbial hellscape that is pop culture. Today I'm joined by a huge group of my personal friends as we are here to discuss one of the biggest news stories of the year. Ladies and gentlemen and others, would you care to introduce yourselves to the world?
Hey guys, what's up? This is Diego here at Cinemageddon Reviews, back again to cover the latest shit show to hit the wasteland. Here, I'm ready. Let's endure the pain.
Hi guys, I'm Kate from KateCast Reviews, partially recovered from COVID to enter this discussion on a big, crazy event around a merger in entertainment. Big surprise, I know.
Oh yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Luis, known in the chat as Zany. And also, I want to say big applause to Kate for recovering. And I can't wait to discuss everything that's been happening at WBD, as now it's called. So this will be interesting, speaking from the heart and from the business perspective.
Yeah, that's gonna take some getting used to. Anyway, my name is Gabe. I'm known here as Soul Despair, and I too am happy to have Kate back after her battle with COVID, and I'm ready to get this discussion going.
Okay, well, we still have another one of our friends here, Mr. Emmanuel, who is also called Eustace for some reason. Would you care to introduce yourself to the world?
Hello, everybody. I am gonna be in my bunker if the shouting is ever gonna happen here, because this is just dynamite. This is a bomb.
You tell me. This is, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how to really describe this, but a bomb would definitely be the best way to describe it. So, in case it wasn't obvious, today's topic of discussion is going to be a little something less fun, less upbeat. We're finally going to get serious here on News from the Wasteland, as we're going to be talking about the recent news surrounding the merger between Warner Brothers and Discovery Plus, or as they are now known as Warner Brothers Discovery.
I can't believe that's the name. I literally found this out 5 minutes ago.
Trust me, I still couldn't believe that this is the acronym now. WBD is now the official acronym for Warner Brothers Discovery, and it sounds so tacky.
But what they changed Fox to when the Disney merger happened, was it like 20th Century Entertainment or something? I thought that was bad. No, this is worse. This is significantly worse.
You tell me.
They had to distance themselves from Fox in some capacity, and I guess this was the easiest, laziest way they could think of.
Well, you're right about lazy.
Yeah, 20th Century Studios is not as bad as, well, Warner Brothers Discovery. But I'll give it this. I'm glad the old logo is back instead of all blue and white WB logo.
Oh,
yeah, now they don't have to really change the logo. They just add an extra letter. They can keep all the signs up.
Yeah, just the WB letters.
Yeah.
Just add an extra.
Just the WB with the blue and yellow logo, like it always was.
Just give it a few minutes. I'm sure Dickless David is going to change that too, just like he's changing pretty much the state of the company with their changes and with the acquisition. But how the hell did we even get to this point?
Where do we start here?
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm going to try to skim this as fast as I possibly can, because this is, I was complaining about how huge the timeline of events was regarding a certain movie that I may or may not be planning on reviewing one day. Well, not so much reviewing, but just doing a gigantic video essay on. But this almost takes the cake. So let's talk about the timeline of events that led to this. Because before Warner Brothers Discovery became Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery was known as Warner Brothers AT&T.
Yeah, 6 years ago, it was known as the parent company of Time Warner, but AT&T decides to chime in and say, we're going to purchase you and merge you and turn you into Warner Media. And this was at the time when net neutrality was threatened. Ajit Pai was trying to overthrow it all, and only to benefit the big corporations, as I like to call the three pillars of telecoms: Verizon, Comcast, and of course, the big boy, AT&T.
Comcast. And thank you for reminding me of Ajit Pai. I'll never forget that moron's idea to try to sway the internet into thinking that destroying net neutrality was possibly a good thing. Oh my goodness. In 2016, the first official report surfaced that AT&T was in talks to acquire Time Warner at a steep price of $85.4 billion. And
very reasonable.
yeah,
Ooh.
surprisingly, one person tried to block the acquisition from even happening and failed to do so, or at least he claims to block the acquisition from happening, and that was thankfully now former President Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Can we?
I read about
Why
it.
is he in the story?
Because life hates me.
Yeah. All right. But from now on, let's just call him he who was not be named who was president. Because I don't like talking about that guy.
Who the hell
Fair
does? In 2017, the merger is approved. Ajit Pai, again, is trying to destroy the internet by trying to destroy net neutrality and succeeds. Fuck you. And if I'm not mistaken, a lawsuit was issued by the Justice Department to try to block the acquisition from happening. But as far as I'm aware here, AT&T called the Trump administration radical and calling it an inexplicable departure from decades of antitrust precedent. The whole thing resulted, the trial began in 2018 on March the 19th, and if I'm not mistaken, this went on for well over a couple of years. But as it kept going, AT&T and Warner Brothers continued to try to make things happen, but Time Warner still remained as it was. During this time, a whole bunch of different stuff happened. If I'm not mistaken, one of their CEOs made a stir saying that Game of Thrones would be better in a mobile experience if they hacked down the shows to 20 minutes apiece. I would argue they should hack that down to 0 minutes apiece because the show is terrible, but I digress. And in June 15, AT&T rebrands Time Warner as Warner Media, as Louis said. Warner Media reveals plans to launch a new streaming service in 2019, which would then become HBO Max. In 2019, the U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. unanimously upholds the ruling in favor of the AT&T Time Warner deal. So the merger happens regardless of how many people tried to block it. So the one good thing that Trump tried to do, even he couldn't pull that off. Just goes to show how good of a president he was. And again, what can you expect? June 24th, 2019, BBC Studios president Ann Sarnoff is named chair CEO of Warner Brothers. And on July the 9th, Warner Media reveals its streaming service that will be called HBO Max. And from that point on, Ann Sarnoff officially begins her tenure as head of Warner Brothers on the 22nd of August. From here on in, they started promoting the ever-loving hell out of Warner Brothers and AT&T since their merger was now completed. They signed J.G. Abrams to a massive production pact valued at around $500 million, showing that they do indeed have plans that I know for a fact they're going to 100% follow through on and are not going to back away the minute they realize, oh shit, this was too hard.
Cough, cough.
Better be enough. I'm just glad there aren't too many mystery boxes. I'm sick of that gimmick.
What are you talking about? Warner Brothers was the mystery box. The problem is when they opened the box, there was nothing in there.
Yeah.
That's still a mystery.
I mean, maybe? Let's see here. Okay. 2020, the world goes to hell. Warner Brothers announces the launch date for HBO Max to be set on the 27th of May for $14.99 a month. The former CEO of AT&T ends up stepping down as of July the 1st, with another successor whose name I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce, ended up taking his place. HBO Max finally launched as it was intended on the 27th, despite the pandemic being a thing. 800 employees were laid off on August the 10th, primarily from HBO and Warner. Oh, and Icing on the cake, on the 8th of October, Warner Media announced plans to cut 1,000 jobs to reduce costs by at least 20% in response to profit hits taken during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And this also includes DC Comics. Like
Oh.
they laid off all the important people, editorial, and you name it.
Mm. And on November 18th, Warner Brothers does the most important announcement of that year. Wonder Woman 1984 will debut on HBO Max on December 25th, the same day it's set to open in US movie theaters. And on the couple of weeks after that, Warner Brothers announces that its entire 2021 slate, which counts a total of 17 movies, including the remake of Dune by Denis Villeneuve and The Matrix Resurrections, will be debuting on HBO Max and in theaters on their respective release dates at the same time.
With no extra charge.
Exactly, except for the fact that now every single one of those creators and the cast and crew will be screwed over monetarily because now the movies are going to be making little to no money. But, who cares, am I right? I mean, Christopher Nolan certainly cared, but, what the hell does he know? He's only the guy who did The Dark Knight.
If I may add to this point right here, for those that aren't in the know, a lot of actors and a lot of directors actually depend on the box office revenue to make their money back. They don't get paid a flat rate. They get a percentage of the money that they win in theaters, per stated in the contract. But when the pandemic happened, a lot of got turned on its head, turned upside down, if you will, leaving a lot of people without any way to recoup the money that they were owed.
Exactly. So unless your movie was a big blockbuster with like a $100 million guarantee in the first opening weekend alone, you were pretty much screwed in that regard.
Off in the heights.
Exactly. Oh,
But
and
thank you for. Sorry.
No. You were saying.
Okay. But thank you, Gabe, for clarifying that because. I mean, I get why they did it. The pandemic was still raging. People weren't comfortable going back to the movies. I'm one of those people. I watched a lot of things on the HBO Max release, but I didn't realize that at the time. And no, that wouldn't have encouraged me to go to the theater because my health's more important. But I say recovering from COVID. But the last thing I'd want to do is hurt the people who made these things that I love so much. And that feels bad a bit. I did buy the In the Heights Blu-ray. Hopefully that helps.
Believe me, every little bit helps, and we're gonna get more into that later on in this podcast. But let's keep the conversation moving.
Agreed. But yes, this was a big normally this is a moment in my life where I kind of had to make a decision with myself. It's like I would always be 100% against a streaming only platform, but this is a time when the world was quite literally on fire and in a severe need of help, and we cannot take those kinds of risks. So I was 100% on board with all of these people that were talking about this, and the way that they were handling this, it made perfect sense. The problem was they still decided to release these movies in theaters at the same time, basically giving people the opportunity to either watch it in theaters or on HBO Max, which basically served as a way of movie theaters not making any money because who the hell is going to go to the movie theater during a fucking pandemic?
Right.
So
guilty as charged. I just want to say it.
I wanted to add that it wasn't just the theaters that suffered. It was also, the other people that suffered from this were the creators themselves. Adding to what I said before, many of them were not briefed by Warner Brothers about this decision. They learned it the same day, the same moment that we all did.
Exactly. This
Which
was
will become a running theme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Legendary Pictures when they were gonna do Godzilla vs. Kong and Dune. When they found out, oh boy, were they angry and pissed. They wanted blood.
Anyway, to go through this part real quick, Warner
Yes.
Brothers basically decided to boost up HBO Max by putting all their movies into HBO Max which caused controversy with the people who worked on these movies. The big one being Christopher Nolan and Patty Jenkins, if I got that correctly,
Yes.
for Wonder Woman 1984, and which actually led to Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, I think, to actually be paid off before to kind of like make up for it, but they screwed the pooch with Christopher Nolan. I think he actually later on released his film. Gosh, what was it called again, Seb?
Tenet.
Yeah, don't worry if you forgot the name. The world forgot it as well.
Okay, Tenet. Thank you.
Am I the only one who remembers?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just it came and went, okay? And anyway, it got released into theaters, and if I recall, due to the controversy at this time, Wonder Woman 1984 was released in theaters in HBO Max. But if I recall, Godzilla and Kong got slightly delayed, and all their other movies got delayed as a result of this as well. And that's really all I can remember. Anyway, movies came out when they did, including In the Heights, and I can't think of anything else, Seb.
Oh, it wasn't just In the Heights that got screwed over. A lot of other movies got screwed over as well. But In the Heights was definitely one of the biggest casualties of all this. Not only did it fail financially, but it also got screwed over in terms of appeal as well. Like, this was one of the biggest rated movies of the year, but nobody was talking about it after its failure in the box office. But this was just one of the biggest mishaps of the way they handled this whole thing. And this wasn't even the biggest thing that they messed up in. In 2021, right after all of this mess began, we also got word that at this point, Warner Brothers Discovery was now going to be a possibility, because Discovery at that point proposed another merger, which was going to be centered around $43 billion, which is significantly less than the AT&T merger was. On May 16, 2021, Bloomberg News reported that AT&T was in talks with Discovery to create a spin-off deal for Warner Media, with Discovery CEO David Sessler leading the enlarged company. And I will continue to call him like this because I do not respect this man or his decisions, especially after I found out about his politics. On June the 1st, 2021, Discovery sets Warner Brothers Discovery as the name of the merged company. And on June 23rd, EA purchases Warner Brothers Interactive for $1.4 billion. I can only say for certain that it's probably already been shut down, because it's EA, and EA is the worst.
Wait, EA,
really?
like video game company?
Yep.
That happened?
Yep.
What?
Electronic Arts, or EA as they are known, purchases Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment's Playdemic for $1.4 billion.
What?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Set your sights on the fact that this is probably going to get shut down in less than a year. But that's not even the stupidest thing that happened in 2021 with this merger. On September 13th, Fox Corporation acquires TMZ from Warner Media.
Yeah, they're the scum of the earth.
Ugh.
I'm just sitting here shocked that someone would pay money for TMZ.
No. It doesn't say how much they acquired it for, but apparently this is now, from what I'm seeing here, this is now a property of Fox. So Warner Brothers can now wipe his hands away from it. I guess that's one victory for Dickless David.
I guess the offer was $50 and an In-N-Out gift card.
That's funny. Do you think they're gonna give him anything as a result? For that, I'll pay you money to take TMZ away from me. Deserve it. Oh, good lord.
Yeah, guys, since AT&T has been selling company after company, because, doing their huge merger a couple of years back, that doesn't mean that they got their money's worth. They're in huge debt, which is why you see like a sellout, as I like to call it, AT&T's garage sale.
Yeah.
Every every
Yeah.
company acquires debt over the years, but AT&T is one of the few companies, at least publicly, is notorious for the huge debt that they've accumulated over the years, especially because of their buyout of Time Warner.
Oof. And after all of
Yeah.
this, I'm pretty sure, is AT&T even a thing anymore following the merger with Discovery and Warner Brothers?
They
Yes.
still are.
Not to us here in Puerto Rico. It's now Liberty.
Yep.
Yeah.
So AT&T couldn't even survive us, and we're the kings of suffering from debt.
Oh.
Well, this particular debt plays a pretty big role in today's topic.
Oh, yes. In 2022, reports emerged that Warner Media and Viacom CBS are exploring a possible sale of a majority stake in the CW network with Nexstar Media Group as the leading potential buyer. So, yes, Kate, to answer your question earlier in the soundtrack, CW can be affected by this.
Oh,
And
it was.
What are you talking about? It's not like they canceled anything recently.
No, just everything.
What did they cancel?
Unless your name is Riverdale.
Oh, God.
Hey,
The Flash.
Seb,
What?
how much were they sold for?
What? I'm gonna be very honest. At this point, I'm not even sure because this thing is not giving me any numbers. But keep in mind, at the time that this article that I'm reading it is from, it's only saying that they're in talks. They're not saying that it was actually bought. But at this time in 2022, AT&T decided to do a spin-off with Warner Media rather than structure the deal as a split-off as originally they wanted. And the Justice Department approved of the Discovery Warner Media merger on the 9th of February. On the 10th, Discovery sets March 11th for a shareholder vote on the merger, and on the 2nd of March, AT&T sets March the 11th for an investor presentation day. And that's pretty much it as far as anyone is concerned. This leads us to today. And boy, did today suck in terms of what these people have in mind. So, we have a lot of weird stuff to talk about when it comes to this, and so much of it is just mired in controversy. But the first thing that we're going to talk about here, because I know that a lot of people listening to this definitely want us to talk about the cancellation of certain movies, but I think it's only fitting that we talk about what happened on the day of the earnings call, which took place on August the 4th, 2022. Now, I was at work when this was happening, but I was able to read everything as it was happening in real time. Thank you to Andy Beckbat. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He is a TV film journalist from Screen Rant who documented the whole thing in real time as it was happening on Twitter. And I'm going to go through each and every one of these different things that were mentioned here in as brief a time as possible. But to put it bluntly, David Sessler talked about the process of merging the two companies and the long process of it, celebrating the new hirings since Warner Brothers Discovery formatted. You know, the new hirings after the 800 to 1,000 HBO employees that were fired. There is more room for improvement, says Stickless David about the first steps forward for the company. We have had to make some additional adjustments, which we will talk about. They then go and boast about the 193 Emmy nominations that Warner Brothers Discovery had, praising the performances at the upfronts, and that they are only beginning to scratch the surface of their path for Warner Brothers Discovery, and seeking to attract the best storytellers to help create the most diverse content there is, mentioning the DC properties amongst many more IPs. Reminder that this happened a day after they canceled a certain movie that can be very well considered diverse content, but we'll get to that later. Their focus is making great content that they want to watch and will pay for. Who is they, you may ask? I have no idea. He also ended up shouting out Ted Lasso, Abbott Elementary, and Game of Thrones House of the Dragon as the type of content that resonates with consumers. I'm not sure about Abbott Elementary, but I'm 100% certain that Ted Lasso is not an HBO property.
Yeah, Abbott
It?
Elementary is an ABC thing, I think.
And Ted Lasso is on Apple TV Plus, which, Warner
Yeah.
Brothers had major involvement with the making of that show, but for some reason, it got onto Apple, not on HBO Max. But what do I know about how these things work?
So basically, if their type of content is Game of Thrones, then this company is in for a long decline down, especially after the last few seasons. But more on the matter, Zaslac says that WBD is open for business and not willing to be beholden to any specific model. Hold on to that thought, mister! You, sir, have lied about that. I will prove that that is a lie in just a few minutes. Oh! Dickless David stresses that the embracing of theatrical and uses movies like The Batman and Elvis as examples of what they want to embrace more of. Okay, so...
That's fine on
I mean,
paper.
Look,
Like,
The Batman, sure. Elvis? Like, do you want to do more biopics? More movies with
yeah, no. If you were taking the statement just black and white, it could just easily read as just like big budget films that have award possibility or franchise potential. And, that's basically every other model every other studio is facing. I'm not saying they're right, we'll get to it, but, just taking it at face value without realizing the connotations that come with it.
I saw it more
Probably what
as,
the rest of the is going to say.
I think it was meaning more of the theatrical experience, like movies like The Batman and Elvis, to have more focus on the theatrical business than just go to streaming.
Right.
I mean, that's just me.
That would make sense, and I completely agree with that. It's just, these examples, this reminds me of when Warner Brothers originally said that they wanted to do they had a 10-year plan, and before the 10-year plan that they mentioned for this one, which I will be talking about again, and they said their main focus, their main model was inspired by the MCU and Joker.
Please tell me we'll talk about that later, because I have thoughts.
Oh, we will talk about that later. But for now, you're welcome. But for now, where was I? Oh, yeah. HBO Max and Discovery is confirmed to be merging together as one. Investor Day will be coming later this year. I guess the date that I mentioned later got delayed, probably due to COVID, probably due to Dickless David not knowing how to work a calendar. And Zaslac wants this company to exist as one, with one goal: to be premiere.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea.
Premiere meaning theatrical. Everything has to be theatrical, straight to theaters, because clearly he saw the numbers of Top Gun Maverick. And basically Top Gun Maverick, despite being a great movie, clearly had an effect in Hollywood, especially executives.
A little too good of an effect, if you ask me, if that's the case.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? What does he even mean by that?
I have no idea, but something about this is actually kind of concerning me, because the way that they're describing this is basically them saying, we want to be the house that gives all the content that people want, but the content that you're referring to as of this moment is fucking House of Dragon. That stupid Game of Thrones spin-off that nobody asked for, which, as of this moment, is considered the biggest campaign in HBO's history.
Yeah.
Hey, at the end of the...
Can I ask something real quick?
Sure.
This guy who's David, I've forgotten how to pronounce his last name.
Is
Zaslac.
Zaslac. Yeah, Zaslac.
Thank you. Does he have any background in entertainment, or is this it?
He was... well...
Emmanuel.
Can I say this?
No.
Can I?
Emmanuel? What I was going to say is that in 2017, he had some thoughts about certain things. More specifically, he had thoughts that were based around... hold on, let me see if I can find an exact quote as to what exactly he had to say back in 2017. I got it right here.
And before you search that, I remind you that Zaslac was responsible for, well, but when he was Discovery, he was like overseeing a lot of reality shows, particularly Honey Boo Boo.
Yep.
He oversaw that reality show.
Oh, yes.
Honey fucking Boo Boo. Does anybody remember Honey Boo Boo?
Unfortunately, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
I do, and I never want to speak about it.
No. Yeah.
I'm lucky I'm out of the left field on that regard, on that
Don't bother looking
detail.
it up.
Don't.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to look up. South Park make fun of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so in 2017, CNN CEO David Sessler, because he worked with he was the CEO of CNN.
Okay. So
he
he
had
has something resembling an entertainment background.
Yeah, but this is also what he had to say. Trump.
Okay.
Some of his business policies could really be helpful to America. And I think that the idea of having a Republican Congress, a Republican Senate, a Republican president is a good thing because now they're going to get some things done.
There's the man who owns. There's the man who owns a network that's very left and not right.
That's true.
Plus, may I remind you who tried to block your damn merger from happening?
Yeah.
The irony speaks in an orchestra. Might as well have Trump as a conductor.
Oh, and for some reason, the dude keeps saying diverse content a lot while this presentation is happening.
You know
Yeah.
it sounds like that he's using what he thinks are buzzwords: premiere, diverse, just cross promotion.
This
It
is
sounds
corporate
like it's
101.
trying to sound important without actually having any meaning behind the words.
That's basically what I'm getting from all of this. He couldn't be more excited for where they're going as a company. I don't know
Where are they going?
That's a very good question. I have no fucking idea. Let's see here. JB Perrett, CEO and president for global streaming and gaming, has now taken over. Streaming will be a strong, but only one part of their strategy, Perrett says.
Okay.
And HBO Max and Discovery Plus are enjoying a strong momentum, so he says. Oh, yeah, here comes the big one. How the two platforms are critical to the subscription business. And this is where we get the infamous image that everyone at this point has seen, but still bears to be repeating. What they consider the unique and complementary, the two different sides of Warner Brothers Discovery. How they consider HBO Max and Discovery Plus. Oh, let's see. How about we start with HBO Max first? They're described as male skew, scripted, lead-in, appointed viewing, and the home of fandoms. Whereas Discovery Plus is female skew, unscripted, lean back, comfort viewing, and a home of genredoms. Where the fuck do I even begin with this?
It sounds really sexist.
No,
I mean,
it is.
What?
I know we
As
have our
resident
demo.
woman, it is.
I mean, I know that we have our demographics, and I know that that's how marketing has been working for as long as I've known about it. But still, it's sexist.
No, but no, they're just looking at new ways of people of having pronouns. Like my pronouns were originally he, him, but now I'm aware that I have to go with HBO Max as my pronouns. I mean, look, they have scripted content. And they have appointed viewing. I'm clearly a guy, so this is clearly the place for me. I mean, I'm a man. I need my fix of Sex and the City and Gilmore Girls.
Let me also add here is that this is another instance where whoever is making these, whether it's Zaslac himself or it's whoever he's hiring to put this data together, clearly doesn't know these terms. Because if you think the word fandom excludes women, hello? Like, that's a decent amount of your demographic there. If you think there are girls of all ages who don't have dedicated Tumblr accounts of gifs of Robert Pattinson looking sad in the Batman movie, then you are seriously out of touch with your audience.
Oh no. And and what really kind of boils my piss to a boil here is they're also considering a Discovery Plus female skew. What does that mean for the guys who like Discovery Plus content?
Exactly.
What are you saying about me, David? What do you have to say about me? Am I a girl for liking this? Are you questioning my sexuality or my gender for wanting to watch your content?
Considering that sometimes, like, if you go with the base value of what Discovery is, and that's mostly documentarian, and, you know, aside from what else is on their schedule, and I guess more, this is what they're thinking, so like, just take that for what it's worth. Like, I guess more educational value, and you think that that excludes your male viewers, then I feel like that's also if just as much, if not more, of an insult than what the HBO Max number says about female viewers.
Oh,
I like. May I apply something a little bit here, because my dad loves watching Discovery. And yeah, the part where it's comforting is that part I can slightly agree, but the whole female skew thing and genre dong, which I don't know how anyone can say that with a straight face. Would that make my dad like the female demographic? Because this shit doesn't make sense to me from a business perspective. This is silly, incredibly silly.
Luis, I don't know how to tell you this. Your dad may be your mom, and you never knew until right now, thanks to Discovery Plus.
No.
That could be a show on Discovery Plus.
No, they already have a bunch of shows on Discovery Plus, and one of those shows is, this actually leads to my next portion here, what they call Global Powerhouse. All the brands, all the franchises, all the iconic series and characters, and all their international stuff. What brands do we have here? Let's see. We got HBO, Discovery, CNN, HGTV, Cartoon Network, DC, and Looney Tunes. Okay, alright, I see what you're doing there. Not too bad here. Everything seems to be cool. And what franchises we got here? Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. Wouldn't that be under DC? Isn't DC the franchise? Okay. Shark Week, Game of Thrones, go fuck yourself. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter. But the most important one, the most important franchise that they have at their disposal, the 90 Day Fiancé Expanded Universe. Good fucking god. Is this, you know what this feels like? This all feels like a parody that would be done in The Boys with VOD and its multiple different streaming services. The problem is, they already made that on the same day after this stupid merger happened. They literally made that exact joke a day after all of this stuff was announced. So I can't even make that joke because they did it for me. Oh, but hold on. I forgot to mention iconic series and characters. This is what they consider iconic. Big Bang Theory, Friends,
I like a Big Bang Theory.
Sex and the City, Property Brothers, diners, drive-ins. I don't know what. Oh, and Fixer Upper. Welcome home.
Drivers, Dives, and Dives. That's Guy Fieri's show.
Guy Fieri is iconic. You know, not Batman, not Superman, not Wonder. No. Those are franchises. Those are franchises. No. Fuck Superman. Fuck Scooby Doo. Fuck no. You know what? Even fuck Daenerys. Daenerys Targaryen. You're not Khaleesi. The real Khaleesi was Guy Fieri the whole time. Cause he's iconic, not you, Hitler, bitch. Guy Fieri is what we should consider iconic, according to HBO Discovery Max, whatever the fuck this thing is called now.
Oh yeah,
man. It just went from VOD to Ubisoft iconic. Know what I mean?
Oh, fuck you with that.
Yeah, and also all those shows like Friends and Big Bang and Sex and the City, like they're iconic, but they're not current because they're done.
I know
for years.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. How do you?
Yeah,
How can you?
Hey, guys, remind me here again. Where can I watch Sex and the City if I'm so interested in watching Sex and the City for some reason?
HBO Max.
You can watch it on HBO Max
Right.
because
So, but wait, I'm a guy. So HBO Max is supposed to be all this stuff. Why is Sex and the City there?
it's what guys want. It's
Yeah.
It's clear that whoever wrote that was in a rush and they didn't have time to think when they were what they were writing. Like, oh god, wait, but as they were writing it and they were gonna go like to do the investor thing, and they're like, oh god, wait, no, come on, wait, I have to fix it. Oh god damn it, it's already out. Ugh.
On a side comment here, I just want to comment that marketing is one of the most impressive professions and also one of the dumbest. How is it that you can be so professional and miss the mark so far? I just don't get it. There's no in between. It's either one extreme or the other. Sometimes it's both.
I mean, you can have the best of intentions in the world and still end up making a really racist Pepsi commercial with Kendall Jenner stopping police brutality, which also got parodied on The Boys, by the way.
What does home of genre dumb? What is even that word? Genre dumb?
I don't have a.
It's like fandoms, home of fandoms. Okay, what is genre dumb? That's the first time. Why not just write home of genres?
I swear to God, I listened to genre
That
dumb.
doesn't fit either.
I listened to the word genre dumb, and the first thing that comes to mind is a dominatrix that loves to cosplay.
Okay, hang on. Can I share something? I just looked this up. So I don't think we're the only ones who had this question because I literally Googled genre dumb. And the first thing is that is people asking, what does this word mean? And the only place you will ever find this word is in this recent article with this investors meeting.
You've got to be shitting me. So this is.
I can't find another source. If anybody else can, feel free to drop it in the chat, but I've got nothing.
Also, appointment viewing. Like, do I need to set an appointment to watch this? Like, honestly, both HP. It's like I can't be comfortable watching the Batman for the 7th time. No, I have to go for Discovery. I can't enjoy my favorite shows despite the fact that it includes violence and whatnot. I have to make an appointment to watch those. It has to be like a premiere moment to watch them.
Basically, what they consider, from what I'm trying to understand from this idiocy, what they consider appointment viewing is crap like The Batman, where it's something that people have been hyping the fuck out of and been wanting to see for a while now. They have to take time to be able to do so, despite the fact that, that can literally be applied to anything. I want to watch a certain show or movie, and why do I need to take time off my day to watch this? Why can't I just plop in and watch it because I want to? What the hell does appointed viewing have to fucking do with anything here? This doesn't make a lick of goddamn sense.
Like, I mean, how do I, like, I mean, man, or, God, I mean, there's also the Snyder Cut, but that doesn't exist anymore, according to Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Thank you, Warner Brothers, for saying to the documentarian who wants to do a documentary about DC Comics and wanted to use footage for the Snyder Cut, and with you saying there's only one version of Justice League, and it's the one that was released in 2017. Otherwise, the crappy version that I will never see in my life ever again.
Yeah, no.
I just wanted to say that just looking at this graph, it's completely dumb. Like, I mean, I can kind of make sense of the Glover powerhouse, but this unique and complementary one, it just baffles my mind. I swear, like, I can believe that they actually took their time making the global powerhouse one, but you cannot tell me it took you a day to make the unique and complementary one. They pulled this out of their butts at the last second. And you
Oh.
cannot convince me otherwise.
Oh, and don't worry. As we talk even more, you're gonna see that this unique and complementary nonsense is gonna backfire so hard when you see what they had to say about certain movies and shows that they canceled. But back to the presentation. Shark Week was just one example that they talked about when it came to cross promotion between the companies. Why you need to do cross promotion when your company is already supposed to be one and the same is beyond me, but whatever. They also provided more information that will basically more talks about how their system is going to be now that the combination of HBO Max and Discovery Plus is going to be. And this feels. I have some questions about this. Listening to this looks very, very weird because let's see what we got here. A single global brand, customer experience and quality first, common tech, best of both platform, whatever the hell that means, efficient and scalable and resilient, scalable partner integrations, whether you use scalable in the same thing twice, modular capabilities including on demand and live, ad free, ad light, and ad only options, and multi-tier sports and transactional.
I'm sure these words mean something to somebody, but these just keep sounding like nonsensical buzzwords. You know what this is? This is a 30 Rock bid. That's what this is.
Oh, funny enough, they did it.
Donaghy pitch. In the most comical way imaginable.
The thing is, after this presentation happened, that there was a clip from 30 Rock that started circulating around this. Or, well, not.
Oh my god.
Yes. Well, not so much a clip, but just footage of Jack Donaghy saying, talking to Liz, saying, "Remember that time I tried to buy Warner Brothers?" Or something like that.
Lemon about scalable partner integrations.
Jesus.
You don't need to do it. GE hopes to make any profit.
Jesus.
Good God, Lemon.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
So,
I love 30 Rock.
It's okay. It's okay. I love that. But you know what all of this reminds me of? This does not sound to me like anything regarding HBO Max. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Paramount Plus. Think about it. On demand and live, multi-tier with transactional and sports. Paramount Plus already has all that content, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true.
They're literally turning this into just another Paramount Plus, complete with live content and everything. Like,
and Paramount Plus is alright, but I mean, HBO Max has already got a solid model and it's a completely different experience of a streaming service, so why the change? I mean, I know why. They want to make their own legacy. That's what happens with all these mergers, but like, why fix what's not broken?
I don't have a single clue, and it is weird. But the thing that concerns me more than anything is their rollout schedule for how they plan on releasing HBO Max Discovery globally, or Warner Bros. Discovery globally, however they call this. By summer 2023, it'll be released for the US. For Latin America, it'll be on fall of 2023. For Europe, it's going to be in early 2024. For areas around the Middle East, it'll be around mid-2024. And what they call new markets, it'll be fall of 2024.
Don't even want to know.
I don't have a fucking clue for this. And let's see if we can continue from here. Okay, so the next thing they talk about is just their predictions and their metrics, which looking at it now is kind of funny, but because this is all money talk, it's not really all that interesting. But one particular line from this does, to me, sound like it'll be very hilarious. Just read it and weep. When they intend to break even by 2024. Oh boy. This is now a good time to bring up how badly they are doing financially, especially in the stock market.
Yeah, I think this is the time to do that.
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead.
Well, ever since the announcement, ever since this very wonderfully presented presentation that we got here, their stocks plummeted right down to 0.42 as of the past week, with $14.59 per stock. HBO Max
Dear.
Discovery Plus, HBO Max Discovery Dickless David's fantasy here is already failing financially, and the damn thing hasn't even been released yet.
Is this Quibi bad, or have we not hit that point yet?
I don't think
Well,
this can even. I don't even think you can compare this to Quibi.
Yeah, that's fair.
All I can get is the stock plummeting like that. It isn't just the planning. It was actually the big elephant in the room of cancellations. Care to enlighten?
No, not the big elephant. I disagree. It's not. You're underselling this, my man. It wasn't just the big elephant in the room. It was the big boy, small boy Hiroshima bomb that was dropped in the middle of the week.
Oh, you guys want me to talk about that, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it's time.
I think yes. Unleash
I mean,
the hordes.
So,
if there's anything that can get away with stocks plummeting like this, it isn't just the silly plans that they have moving forward. It's their actions is what let this happen as well, and that's a major effect, mind you.
Yeah, because the plans are just a cushion. We need to talk about the damage that they caused.
Oh, I think I know exactly where you're going with here. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's time we talked about the cancellation of Batgirl and Scoob 2.
The reason why we're having this in the first place.
Oh.
And they're still going. They're still canceling stuff. As of right now, they already canceled one DC show. And I'm not talking about Gotham Knights. It's Strange Adventures, which was announced way when HBO Max was like at the top, but with Jason Kilar and Warner Media, that's gone. Everything's gone. But yeah, let's continue with Batgirl.
Yes, so before I continue, I just want to add this little image here. This is their structure, this is the structure and their revenue for 2022 so far. Notice in the studio section how we have Warner Brothers Television Group, DC, New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers Animation. I'm sorry, DC is a studio now?
Honestly, I'm kind of was asking for that for years, but that's just me. I always wanted DC Studios to be a thing, but that's just asking at a monkey spot.
Yeah.
Wait. I got an idea. Wait. Let me make a skit real quick. Come in. Oh, hey, DC. Good morning. Oh, hey, Warner Brothers. How you doing? Oh, nothing much. Just getting my coffee, just getting my coffee after laying off a couple of hundred workers left and right, including us, including yours. That's a shame. Oh, but don't worry, we'll make all the money in the world to actually make up for this huge loss in talent and creativity. I hope nothing happens after this. I hope none. Oh, by the way, you're a studio now. Wait, I am?
Yes.
Beans.
Oh my fucking god. So, they keep talking about a strategy that they have for their movies and the way that they're doing them. Apparently, the Wonder Twins, Scoob, and Batgirl are specifically mentioned as not fitting their strategy, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. And
Yeah.
when asked about why Batgirl was canceled, according to this, they said, and quote, "We are not releasing a movie that we do not have faith in." They say this.
Do they not have faith in it? Did they mention that?
Well, that and said that we're not gonna release a movie until we feel like it's ready.
Yeah, and guess what? This movie was almost ready, but you canceled it. And Scoob 2, again, almost ready, canceled.
Yeah.
Season 3 of that crappy Ellen cartoon show also canceled.
And also the Wonder Twins, which I agree that had to be canceled because who wanted a Wonder Twins movie? Who asked for that?
Regardless of who asked for it, this was still going to offer new jobs to many different people who were involved in it. The fact that they canceled it just shows that they have really little to no clue as to what exactly they're planning on doing. But going with all of this, the way that they went about talking about this is so disgusting because they opened this by praising the performances and the cast and crew of Batgirl, congratulating them for their hard work. And now you're saying that we won't release this movie because we have no faith in it.
Yeah, it's like what is it that they say? You're playing devil's advocate. It's like on the one hand, you're praising them, but on the other hand, you're basically screwing them over by not releasing or releasing to the public the hard work that they just were praised for.
Can I add to this point real quick? I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Diego.
Okay, so as you guys may have heard, and this was pretty popular, it went viral on Facebook. I keep seeing it over and over again. But Brendan Fraser played serial arsonist Firefly in the film, which is a less popular Batman villain, but he was going to be the main antagonist of Batgirl. And he had his birthday a short time before the cancellation of this movie.
Man.
Yeah.
And this would have been his big comeback to mainstream film after years of absence and dealing with like a ton of personal issues. I understand there was some medical complications he was going through, and he was really excited to come back. And just this might have been a gut punch to him. I feel so bad for this guy.
That's
I do too.
And that, do you know what the worst part is? The creators of the Batgirl movie, the directors who also worked on Miss Marvel, they were in the process. They were in a wedding. The very same day that the announcement was made that the movie got canceled.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
So, and
yeah.
what I think what the most disgusting part about all of this is, it's not even the fact that they canceled the Batgirl or Scoob 2. Like, I may not have been the biggest fan of Scoob, but I wouldn't mind another movie because why the hell not? But what pisses me off isn't that they canceled it. What pisses me off is that they didn't cancel it. They wrote it off as a tax write-off, meaning that legally neither one of these movies can be allowed to play anywhere on any streaming service or even be sold to another studio. It's suffering the exact same fate that Megas XLR, Symbionic Titan, and Beware the Batman suffered from. Oh, and Legend of Korra to some extent as well.
Oh god, that's messed up.
Yep. This is so even if some other studio were to purchase the rights for it, legally speaking, they wouldn't be allowed to show this film. So in other words, they pretty much sealed this movie to a fate worse than death.
Honestly, I have not heard this much neglect and mistreatment around a property since Legend of Korra. Like, yeah, that show had it rough, but at least it came out.
Exactly.
But the thing with Scoob is that, one, as you stated, it was almost finished. Let's stipulate how almost finished it was. They had to do the lighting, and from what I understand, that was it. They just had to light the thing well. And then it was supposed to be released not just as it's not a sequel, that was my misconception. It's a holiday special. Okay, one, holiday specials are insanely lucrative if you do it right because you can guarantee run them at least once a year. And it's a holiday special around one of the biggest cartoon franchises in the world. But no, it's not going to make us any money. Let's write it off.
Exactly. The same with Batgirl. I mean, hey, when has HBO or DC or Warner Bros. Ever released a shitty movie before that they didn't have any faith in? Except, you know, all the multiple times that they did. Looking at you, Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, and Justice League 2017.
And like, if they're gonna insist on keeping things up with Batman, which fine, whatever, it makes money, I get it. But like, at least it was nice with Batgirl that it was something remotely different. But again, even though it's based around the most popular DC franchise, even if it's not Bruce Wayne, I guess that's not good enough.
I mean, at this point, I'm 100%. I have to agree with Erod, the Blockbuster Buster. I am sick to death of Batman being oversaturated in media. I am tired of so much goddamn Batman content being shat out by Warner Brothers and DC. Even shows like Harley Quinn. Fucking perfect show. Absolutely. 10 out of 10. I don't need Batman in this. Yeah, it's funny when he's in there because he's kind of a punching bag, but it's still Batman. I don't want any more Batman. I love the Batman with Robert Pattinson. That was good. No more. Take a break. Oh, you're making a sequel? Well, delay that shit till 2025 or whatever. No one needs any more Batman at this time. You know what we do need?
Hold up. Oh, go on. You were saying.
Yes. You know what we do need? New heroes, new characters. We need stuff. Blue Beetle. For the love of God, we're getting a Blue Beetle movie. We're getting a Black Canary movie, assuming that hasn't been canceled either.
I was gonna say, has anybody heard about Blue Beetle? Because I'm a little nervous about it.
I think
we don't know anything about it yet.
I know. Let me answer you that, Kate. Yeah, it's finished. It's already in post-production. They already
right now, Manuel. If this is the conversation we've been having, that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's in post-production. They already have a release date. The director is kind of liking tweets of please spare this movie. You can cancel everything, but please, for the love of God, spare this movie.
Personally, I don't blame the guy because we're talking. Look, the Batgirl. Let's talk about the Batgirl. It was a $90 million to $100 million production. It was supposed to be released for HBO Max. It was going to be short of a theatrical film. Now, it's like no matter the scale of a production, a lot of time and sweat and a lot of thinking goes into these productions. Like, it doesn't matter the budget. People dedicate months, years, even years of their life, sometimes just working down to the last minute on these films. And the fact that their hard work is not going to be seen and they're probably not going to get more get paid more beyond that is just heartbreaking. And this is just after all the controversy of VFX studios being worked to the bone by Marvel's harsh schedule. It's like adding salt to an open wound, man. Like the people, it's like, yeah, I love the actors and I really do feel bad for Brendan Fraser. I really, really do. I really feel bad for everybody that worked on that film because that's part of their work that, I don't know, under some legal contract or legal term, they could probably never show to anybody and probably not even use under their portfolio, just out of fear at the fact that Warner Brothers can actually just, like, I don't know, hit them like lawsuit or something like that. I don't know. This is terrifying.
Shout out to Leslie Grace too, who lost a big franchise here.
Honestly, and Warner Brothers discovering Warner Brothers basically shot themselves in the foot. Because it's like Seb mentioned that they were basically trying to look for diverse content. Well, there you had it with the Batgirl. Everybody has argued the same thing. You can't just do one thing and then say like we're looking for diverse content. We're looking to make more diverse content for a big market and so on and so forth and blah 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 and all these words that really don't make a fucking lick of sense for us, but it sure is supposed to make sense for somebody.
Oh, and you want to know what the icing on the cake was? The fucking Batgirl movie was also supposed to have the debut of the first trans superhero ever.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for going on like that, guys. It's just
wait. No, that's not right. It's okay. Maybe in movie. Did it say movie specifically? Because Supergirl has a trans superhero.
Yeah, in movies. I meant in movies.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, then you're right.
Okay, but yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for going off like that and getting really passionate. It's just
no,
I
that's
just really feel awful for all of those people that were involved. That
Yeah.
you and me
And
both. You and me both. Well,
yeah,
that's why
Yeah,
we're
no,
doing this.
that's why we're
yeah,
talking about it. Yeah.
yeah. And besides that, the trans superhero, which I think was a recent creation from DC, there was also the casualty of having Michael Keaton, the original Batman, movie Batman, come back in this movie. There was already set photos of him in the suit, and J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been
Yeah.
would have
awesome.
been awesome.
But from what
Yeah.
I'm hearing,
Amazing cast.
they're trying to scale down on him, apparently. Not just there, but in another movie, and replacing him with the Ben Affleck Batman, I think. I'm hearing weird things, but
Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that because doesn't he want to leave? Like he wants to move on or something, or maybe his life is back on track that he wants to do more. I don't know.
I doubt
And
that. He's
it
busy trying to get married with J-Lo because of all the comebacks that had to happen, Bennifer is back to being a thing. But
Did anybody have that on their 2022 bingo card?
I wish I did, because that way I could have gotten me a set of steak knives.
Yikes!
Yeah.
That's quite a can of worms to dive in there, because I'm just as conflicted with Ben Affleck suddenly coming back, but I don't want to discuss that. That's like another can of worms that's already manipulating my feelings. Because as a DC fan, this is incredibly frustrating. Because as time progresses, it depresses me every time. It's like I'm at this point where I just want to let DC go. I don't want to look back. I'll just want to go back into my childhood and watch the cartoons that I grew up with. And to an extent, some of the CW series, specifically only the first few seasons of Arrow and Flash. But other than that, I'm done. It's like, no, this is way too painful for me to witness.
yeah, I know the feeling, my friend. I shared the same feeling of all right. I want Ben Affleck back as Batman, but he clearly said he wants to move on. But then there's this happening. I'm like, okay, one or the other. Just tell me, is he ready to move on or not? And also I wanted to add this. I understand why they had to cancel Batgirl, because clearly they want a clean slate in their movies. And because before Zaslac came in, the movies were kind of all over the place. Sure, we got good movies in somewhere, but it was just all over the place. Like, they were just sticking at the wall to see what works and what didn't. Like, Batgirl, sure. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Personally, I would have established Batman first, then Robin, and then you get to Batgirl.
Well,
But then again, that's just me.
yeah, here's the thing I wanted to add, not to interrupt you or anything, but they clearly do not care about establishing any sort of continuity.
Not in the slightest.
No. In fact, and I know that that's not the case because Zaslav teased another 10-year plan. What is this, the fifth one that they come up with?
No. He didn't. That was it. He said 10-year plan.
Yes.
Those.
Mm-hmm.
That was all he did. He didn't say another like 10-year plan.
No. Here's the thing. This is his 10-year plan, but Warner Brothers has been saying we have a 10-year plan every few years. They say we have another 10-year plan, and another 10-year plan, and another 10-year plan, and now Zaslav, Dickless David here, has his own 10-year plan, which involves Black Adam, Shazam, which I'm excited for, but at this point, who the fuck even cares? But there's another movie that's still coming out, despite it being easily the most controversial film that hasn't even been released yet. Does anybody even have any clue what the hell I'm referring to right now? I think you all know, but does anybody want to mention the name? You all know the name.
The Speed Demon?
Yes, the Speed Demon. No, we're talking about The Flash. And more specifically, how Warner Brothers Discovery refuses to take the fucking hint that this movie is a failure to launch. It's not even a failure
Yeah.
to launch. It's more of a failure to even I'm reminded of that re-res video where they talked about the Ouya and they tried to say, can you professionally promote your product, period? And they start showing footage of them messing up their PR and all these videos of them talking about how they had to get shut down because they were having parties with beer but not talking about the games, opening up their controllers with an axe. And this feels to me like Ezra Miller is to the Flash what the PR was to the Ouya. Because every single bit of news revolving around Ezra Miller is one fucked up bit of controversy after the other. Because they can say whatever the hell they want about Batgirl being a movie that they have no faith in and how much they want to embrace diversity. But you tell me, what sounds more diverse? A movie with no controversy featuring a female, a Dominican American female protagonist as a superhero, along with a trans character who is also a superhero, or a movie with a literal criminal currently hiding from the police? And forgive me, before you say something, Luis, I also wanted to add, I am 100% aware that Ezra Miller is considered non-binary. But I also want to add that Dickless David is a Trump-supporting douchebag who probably also thinks that Ezra Miller considers himself a male with no pronouns whatsoever and is probably okay with all the shit he's doing because he's a white guy. Or at least he sees him as a white guy, even though he is actually a they. Now, you were saying, Luis?
Yeah, I 100%, like, no, not 100, 110% agree with you on that. Because, yeah, between Batgirl and The Flash, I'd rather go for Batgirl. Now, granted, there were test screenings saying that the Batgirl wasn't going to turn out to be a well-reviewed movie in the end. But if I have to pick between the two, I would still stick with Batgirl. Like, it could have been, like, its own thing, like, being cheesy. Like, and come on, we all been through with the cheese factor of Batman movies since the Joel Schumacher films, and we embrace that. We enjoy that. I mean, I hope we all enjoy that. Please raise your hands.
Me.
I
haven't seen 'em.
kind of enjoy it for what it is, but I'm Dark Batman all the way.
Yeah, but my main point is I don't want to watch a movie with a guy that's been doing some awful shit around the world. Because as much as I've said Ezra Miller actually had promise at the time when he was starting to become a little bit popular since Justice League, yes, even the Whedon cut, but he was still seemed kind of a likable character. So his career had promise. But the way we're witnessing now, I am like, why did they cancel Batgirl over the Flash? This doesn't make sense to me.
I want to ask. You were saying, Kate?
I'm not convinced they're still making it, quite frankly. Okay, can someone answer this question? Do we know how far in production they are, if they're even still making this?
They are far. They're already test screening, and apparently the test screenings are great. Like, people find this entertaining. Yeah, for the Flash. And apparently for the promotion, they're gonna include all the actors except for Ezra Miller. Like, he's not invited to the premiere or anything.
So the
so it's supposed to come out. Okay.
Sorry, you were saying, Kate?
It's supposed to come out next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but the weird thing is that we haven't seen any promotion for this at all. Like, if you look at you know what should have been a red flag for Batgirl? DC, aside from Black Adam, had no presence at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Nothing about Batgirl, nothing about the Flash, nothing whatsoever, as far as I can find. And that's a big thing. Look at Marvel. They had their actual 3-year plan up there on screen for everybody to see. But DC, they keep saying they have a plan, and until things actually have a trailer, I wouldn't believe anything they say, especially not right now, because, and I've been trying to get this point in for a while, so I'm just going to say this right now. The problem with this whole thing about Warner trying to make DC works is that I don't think they believe in them really. Like, they, aside from Batman and Superman, which they know for sure are going to make money pretty much no matter what, they have this huge catalog of things and they're not using them for whatever reason. And this is why they will never, unless they get their act together, they will never compare to Marvel, because Marvel has faith in everything they do, even the most low-key, unconventional, nobody cares about characters. Like, if you can make the Guardians of the Galaxy, a quick sound off in this group here. Who heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy before the movie came out?
Me.
I didn't.
I didn't. I was excited for this movie because I didn't know who they were, and that's what got me excited.
Exactly,
Yeah, even
because you could make something new and interesting in a familiar banner. That's what these cinematic universes should do. And they got close with the Arrowverse. I am an avid Arrowverse fan. I've watched pretty much all the shows except for Arrow. I didn't watch Arrow, surprisingly. But you want to know why The Flash is one of the few still standing? Because it's the biggest one, even bigger than Arrow. You know, say what you want about its objective quality, I get it. But clearly what they chase after is the popular stuff, and even that is not safe anymore. Flash is almost over, and
it is over.
They got one more season. They're going off of they're getting rid of their shows left and right on the CW. The only thing that was exploring any of the DC universe's obscure potential, even Batwoman, you know, even though it goes into the Batman name, it's a different character, one we don't see that often. And I understand, I know that that's a whole other area of controversy. I'm talking about conceptually what we saw on screen. You know, there was something there, but because the CW, for whatever reason, didn't make much money, everything got canned almost immediately after this merger was official.
Everything except for Superman
and Riverdale.
Yeah, I think Riverdale's done. They got one more season and it's done. Superman just got renewed for a 3rd season.
Yeah, the only thing still standing besides Superman is Stargirl, which is shocking to me. I mean, not really, it's a good show, but considering how well they treated the others, some of these shows got canceled abruptly, not even being given the chance to get a proper finale. But that didn't matter, because there's no one named Batman or Superman in them, so...
Honestly, Kate, when you say Batman and Superman, honestly, David Zaslac said it one time where I don't agree with the guy, but he said one thing that I agree, that they've been doing way more Batman and Superman has been tossed to the side, and they need to be revitalized. That they need to revitalize Superman. Heck, I have been screaming to the heavens, like, for the love of God. I mean, I know that Henry Cavill is basically not possible. I want it, but it's kind of like impossible. What I want can't be done. He's clearly moving on, but at least give me a straight answer. All right, if he's not Superman, who is? Do you have any idea? Oh, what are you going to do with Superman? Yeah, this is Superman Lois. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a show, but I don't want a show. I want a fucking movie. I want a fucking trilogy of Superman movies, like epic on an epic scale. But
Superman is its own can of worms, because there's also all that stuff about how they can't figure out how to make him a relatable character. But the reason I use him as an example is because between him and Batman, they're the only ones who have had more than one incarnation in the last 20 years. Everybody else, like, you go through DC's entire catalog, there's so much there. It's something that frustrates me. This is a bit of a tangent. That frustrates me about the Batman movies, and what was kind of exciting about the potential of Batgirl. is that they're doing Batman stuff that doesn't necessarily involve Batman. Could you imagine how excited people would be if they announced a Nightwing movie, or that they were going to do things with the other Robins? You know, this had the potential to be familiar,
Yeah.
but explore new areas.
A Bat family.
Yes, thank you.
Is that what you're saying, Kate? A Bat family? Like,
I know, it's a crazy concept, I know, but maybe somewhere it could work. Maybe some printed media, perhaps.
I don't consider that a
Maybe
crazy
animation.
concept. I don't think that's a crazy idea. I think that legitimately is something that they could have done, and it would have been gangbusters. Hell, you know
we're being sarcastic, but yeah.
you know what they could do as well? They could have actually, like, I agree that Superman has been kind of given the short end of the ugly stick recently, not just with the way that they bastardized him in the Snyderverse, but also with the way that they ignored him almost immediately because of his involvement in the Snyderverse. But rebooting him and starting from scratch, which I do get that is kind of a bit of a, like a worst case scenario, but you assholes did that with you did that with Spider-Man twice, and it worked the third time, I guess. But with Superman, what they need to focus on is forget about trying to reinvent the wheel, because that was the big problem with Man of Steel, was that it tried so hard to be not the original with Christopher Reeve, not the cartoon, not any other version of Superman, not even the one from the comics. It was trying way too hard to be whatever the hell Snyder wanted him to be before it could actually be a Superman of its own identity. It didn't establish what he wanted to be or what they wanted him to be in the first place. That's why he was such a bland and unlikable character, because this isn't Superman. This is just a hunky British guy with an American accent playing Superman. And granted, I like this guy. I do enjoy seeing him in The Witcher, particularly with or without clothes. But, just because I like the way he looks doesn't mean I buy him as a Superman. And I still don't. Yeah. The one time I ever bought him as Superman was ironically in the Whedon cut, and even more so in the Snyder cut. Those were the only few times where Superman with Henry Cavill finally felt like Superman. Because, and I hate to say it, but you give this man too many chances, and one chance, that's too much. A second chance, okay, you still shit the bed. But after the third one, and it's not even a canonical one, no one this is too many chances. I'm done. I'm tired of giving this guy multiple chances and having the internet shit-talking me for not liking this version of the character. I never liked Snyder's Batman or Superman, but what they did with Superman in Man of Steel is unforgivable, and I hate it. And no matter how hard they try to make me like him, I still can't get behind it. I want to see a Superman in the DC universe that's good. I want to see that. Hell, I'll even happily take Henry Cavill back as Superman if they decide to write him properly. But they're not going to do that.
Man of Steel sequel.
No Man of Steel sequel. I want nothing with the Snyderverse. No more. Zack Snyder, move on. You do your Rebel Moon movie. I'll happily watch it and give it a 7 out of 10 like it did with Army of the Dead. But stay the fuck away from DC. You are better than this. You directed a commercial with Michael Jordan in the 90s and it was good, for Christ's sake. You're better than DC. You don't need that. What I was going to say is, I want to see more Superman, but I don't want to see more of this idea of Superman. I want the real Superman, not this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but apparently Warner Brothers Discovery wants Henry Cavill back. That's all, but it's all up to him if he wants to come back. Because that was the biggest, they asked him, but he was either too busy with The Witcher or he just wasn't interested in doing cameos.
Nah, he's probably too busy building a new PC to play World of Warcraft.
Yeah, basically. I mean, come on. I mean, and also for the love of God, we got a Superman who's one of us. He's a big nerd. He's into freaking World of Warcraft, Warhammer, you name it.
No.
He's the whole package.
You know what? Instead of him coming back as Superman, he needs to join Critical Role.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yes.
Critical Role. Oh
That's
my
a
god.
pretty big step, don't you think?
Yes. It's
Yeah.
you could say that it's a super step.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and-
oh god.
Hey,
Ever-
I had to do it.
Ever
But-
since
yeah.
this sorry.
No, you first, Kate.
Yes,
Kate.
but-
You first, Kate. Go ahead.
You first thing. You first thing.
Ever since this most recent time where they said they had a 10-year plan and they're looking for their Kevin Feige, and I'm not the only person to point this out. The thing that's the thing with that is that it's not about making a huge franchise right from the start. You really want to be Kevin Feige? Here's what you do. You find some lesser known characters, you get people who love them and believe in them, of which there are many, and you just give them a decent budget. And they will deliver something that audiences will connect with, because guess what? People have connected with these characters for decades. For all sorts of different versions. You'll get old fans, you'll get new fans, but maybe you won't get tired fans of seeing the 8,000th Batman origin story. Okay, you know what? Let's try something here. If anybody can do this if they want. DC says, I give you one character, not Batman, not Superman, to make a movie out of. Go.
Well, I wanted to say Blue Beetle, but he's already getting a movie, and it's being directed by a Puerto Rican man, and it's starring Xolo Maridueña from Cobra Kai. I'm getting my movie. He, in my opinion, is the Iron Man of the new DCEU. Because
It could be. If they follow through with it, it very well could be.
yeah, exactly. Because this is exactly what they should be doing. Stories with characters that, while popular, are not mainstream. Like Shazam.
Yes.
I thought Shazam was gonna suck. I thought this was gonna be the biggest turd pile that they've ever done. Because I thought they were gonna turn this into another uber dark and gritty Zack Snyder bastardization. But no, it was fun, colorful, childish, but also kind of scary, dark, and fucked up. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Like, new stories with characters that, while familiar to most, are not familiar by all. Shazam,
Right.
and Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. You know what?
Yeah, Booster Gold.
Oh my god.
Booster
If
fucking
they
Gold.
did that, and they did a
Give me
Ted Cord Booster Gold movie, people would lose their minds.
I
It
know!
would be
And the
insane.
sad thing was, they already got Booster Gold on a CW show, and the Legends of Tomorrow.
Sure,
He
they
finally
did.
appeared.
In a show that was canceled before they could do anything with it.
Exactly.
Corporate synergy.
My
Yeah,
ass.
and also when you said about Superman, they were developing a Superman movie when J.J. Abrams was the producer, but it was the type of project where, all right, Superman reboot. He's gonna be black, and he's more of the Golden Age Superman, where you're not gonna see him fly. You're not gonna see him with the powers just him. Well, being the Golden Age, in the Golden Age, just fly, being indestructible, leaping tall buildings in a single bound, and being more of like a social justice crusader, which was what he was when he was first created.
Yeah.
I mean, that right
It
there
would
is
ignite
actually.
the nostalgia and bring in new fans.
And I would have been fine with that.
And
That's-
black, like they wanted a black Superman. Cool. Is it gonna be Val Zod? Is it gonna be Calvin Ellis, who becomes president of the United States?
Why can't
Clark
he just?
Kent.
Why can't he just be Clark Kent? He doesn't have to be white.
If they did that,
Yeah.
William Jackson Harper all the way.
Exactly. Oh, and not to take away from that, but I was just thinking, you know what could be hilarious if they do a Booster Gold movie and they have a sort of proto-antagonist in the form of Jon Stewart as a Green Lantern.
There you go.
See? You see what you got there? You see? Like,
Honestly, you could have if DC had gotten their acts together sooner, and maybe part of this was all this corporate merging behind the scenes of why things kept changing. I can't say for sure, but the timelines match. They could have had a multiverse of madness style movie with Booster Gold. We could be so much farther along. We could have been a couple Robins in at this point. You think if if Warner Media ran Marvel, that we'd be up to Sam Wilson Captain America by now? No, we'd be telling Steve Rogers' story for the 4th time.
Here's
and to answer your question, Kate, it sucks that when you say to mention movies that aren't Superman or Batman, I am specifically thinking of movies that I haven't even seen yet. There's The Losers, Jonah Hex, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern that he keeps making fun of.
Jonah Hex is another one where CW did him right. Jonah Hex was awesome. He was a semi-recurring character on Legends of Tomorrow. He was awesome. And again, if you got the right people, you could make something really cool with that. Especially updating the Western. It's hard to do, but it's possible. You could pull it off.
You could do that. You could do that. You could actually make an Unforgiven type movie that has, Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although all across different genres, all across different types of characters, they have everything library-wise at their advantage that Marvel does. The problem is the companies in charge are completely different in how they approach it. Maybe it's because Disney makes more and they can afford to take more risks. I don't really know. But I also just think it's because they're not seeing the potential. And that's why they just can't get a cinematic universe off the ground. Because they're sticking to what's safe. And a cinematic universe, regardless of how lucrative it's been, was not a safe bet.
I don't know how to describe this effect, as I like to call it, because this is kind of relates to history itself. Because as kids, we've grown up late to early 2000s, and the shows that we've grown up with are mostly from DC. Yeah, we may have Marvel, but nobody would mention any other Marvel superhero that isn't Spider-Man. And I'm not counting the X-Men, no. The X-Men were very cool, and it's the only Marvel franchise that have spawned sequel after sequel besides Spider-Man. But
until the MCU came along, the only hero I could name from Marvel was Spider-Man. So just to give you an example.
Yeah, precisely. Because, we grew up with DC. We have a biased love towards DC. DC had a golden age of cartoons. And to be fair, and again, on the television side, the CW did have a good run when it comes to having a one whole universe that we can have fun and conversations and how these superheroes interact with each other. Yeah, it's really cool. I may not have been caught up with CW other than a first few seasons of Arrow and Flash, but I have to give credit where credit's due. But in the end, MCU, I didn't grow up with Marvel, but I gotta love what Marvel has done. They may have their flaws, but I still praise them for taking so much risk on giving us superheroes that we may or may not have heard of. And as you say, Guardians of the Galaxy, team of superheroes straight out of a space opera, suddenly now became one of the most popular movies of all time. Hell, my personal favorite Marvel movie is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I still watch that from time to time.
You're not alone there. It's high up on a lot of people's lists.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll give you an example. If anybody here or anybody listening wants to see the potential that the CW shows were able to tap on their TV limited budgets that the movies haven't been able to do yet, track down the special Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's probably everything you've wanted the movies to be for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Oh.
It's everything Warner Media and Discovery just threw away.
Yeah. It was, it's not perfect. They did some choices there.
But it's what I'm sure people want to see, conceptually on the big screen at this point. And if they had done this structurally better, we'd probably be there by now. But we're not, and we're probably, unfortunately for DC fans, that's really sucks. But until somebody high up gets their act together, we're not gonna be. And given what we've learned over the last hour and a half, that ain't gonna be anytime soon, kids.
Agreed.
It's not gonna be soon. It's probably by the time I'm gonna have gray hair on my head. Like, oh my god, what is the Justice League movie that I want to see? I mean, I want another Justice League movie. I don't want the Justice Society. That's later. I mean, the Justice Society, really? I mean, they're cool and all, but I mean, maybe it's just I'm so biased because I grew up watching the cartoons, and when I think of superhero teams, the Justice League are like the superhero team, the definitive,
Yeah.
no question.
And here's
But-
another punch to the gut. Spoiler alert for Crisis on Infinite Earths. They were hinting at the CW Justice League. There was a hall and chairs and a table, and they were gonna get there, and they were doing it, and then half the shows were canceled.
Yeah, but it's not the time, but it's not the lineup that we actually want to see. Like, there's no Batman.
But it's something.
Yeah, it's something.
It's
It is
something that we'll never see.
Exactly.
Yeah. But they run that to the ground because, well, I watched the sixth season of The Flash. Like, at the beginning, I'm like, okay, I'm done. They got way too convoluted. They kind of jumped the shark a lot of things. So I'm like, I'm done. It's hard for me to do this. I like the show, but enough is enough. And I moved on. Since then, I haven't watched any CW DC show except for Superman and Lois, and I just finished watching the second season. And the one flaw that I have with that show is that they're too loyal to the Richard Donner movies, which I get. Those are the perfect depiction of Superman, but I think it's time to move on from those, like, and do their own thing, like do their own interpretation, like have Superman's fortress be a ship instead of just, well, a crystal castle.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Warner has every bit of interest in doing that. Which is
Mm.
why we're all sitting here right now. Which is why this is how we're spending our Sunday nights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also want to add, since we're still talking about DC,
You knew this was going to be the one that lasted the longest.
yeah, but no, here's the thing, and I didn't mention this because this is something that was only just recently announced, but the former head of DC, Walter Hamada, he almost quit after they announced that Batgirl got canceled.
Wow.
And according to this, it appears that he's still staying, but only after the release of the Flash movie. After that, it's up in the air whether he's staying or not.
I thought it
thought it
was
was
Aquaman.
Wait a minute. I thought it was Black Adam. I was
No,
about to say that.
you're right. My mistake. It was Black Adam. It's after Black Adam's release, it's over. We don't know what the hell is going to happen, but based on what that interview said, it seems like he's definitely going to be quitting for real afterwards.
Oh my god.
So Walter Hamada is leaving Warner Brothers after Black Adam because of the way that they're handling the state of DC and Warner Brothers as a whole. This is almost, I think nothing kind of says it best than that. I mean, what the hell else can I add to this? That I think that kind of
Exactly.
speaks for itself.
But honestly, the writing was on the wall when Zaslac said that he wanted his own Kevin Feige, and that ain't Walter Hamada. The door was kind of shut to him like early. It's just that maybe he needed a reason to leave, and I guess what happened to Batgirl was like a perfect reason enough to just get to the door.
Yeah, but their Kevin Feige in this case is goddamn Alan Horn.
Yeah,
Who's Alan
I know.
Horn?
Alan Horn, Alan Horn was like the executive at Warner Brothers, where he oversaw many of their great successes, like the Dark Knight trilogy, the Harry Potter franchise, you name it. He's the one that.
He was also he was also working with Walt Disney from 2012 to 2021, and he actually had a bit of insight for certain decisions that were made. He actually worked on stuff like Pixar, Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, 20th Century. He actually he had a word in a lot of decisions that were made for better and for worse. But the thing is, he retired. He came out of retirement so that he can now work with fucking DC and Warner Brothers Discovery. As a consultant, though. As a consultant during its transitionary period following the acquisition.
Yeah. And finding a Kevin Feige is it's kind of hard. No, it's extremely hard because Kevin Feige is, he himself is kind of like a wonder because one, he came from as an assistant in Richard Donner's company. Like he was like an associate producer on the X-Men movies. Like he got his start as kind of like as an executive on Marvel on the earlier days, like overseeing Spider-Man, the Hulk, you name it. Then he eventually rose up to the ranks of being, the president of Marvel Studios. Yeah. Finding a Kevin Feige, you have to find somebody who is creative, but also knows how to do business.
Yeah, they don't need a visionary. They need a boss, is what they need. They need a fucking boss who knows what to do.
Yeah.
It also amazes me they don't even ask like Bruce Timm or Paul Dini for any advice because they're the ones that kickstarted the popularity of DC during the 90s with the cartoons.
Or
Yeah,
hell,
but that's animation. It's a lesser art form, at least according to nobody said that yet, but it's kind of on the wall when you look at Warner's current catalog of animated and upcoming stuff. Remember, Scoob got the axe too, and I'm pretty sure that, because let's remember here, Warner also owns Cartoon Network, and if you look at Cartoon Network's current catalog, it's dry, man. The well is dry. There is not much on right now, especially not much to get excited about. And if you want to see how long the Warner Discovery merger has been messing up with things, I'm pretty sure they were responsible for some of the decisions that led to Infinity Train getting the axe.
Oh, I'm 100% convinced that this is the case.
Oh God! So
It just hit me. It just.
No, not my primal. Do not touch my primal.
It can
I was
happen,
about to
dude.
mention.
It's possible.
Yeah, I was about to mention Tartakovsky. I don't want to see like Tartakovsky dealing with multiple axes on a lot of projects he's been working on, from Primal, because he's already had hard enough time to finally finish Samurai Jack, which took him over 10 years. Symbiotic Titan got canceled. Like we will never see that finish, which is already a crime. And now I'm glad Primal's got season 2 and it's still going, but it'll probably not last if Tartakovsky is willing to just like leave it on an open-ended cliffhanger after season 2, which is what I'm afraid of, because if you know Tartakovsky, the man tends to leave his shows always end up in a cliffhanger note where we may or may not see a true end to it. And only the rarest times when we get one, which is, as I mentioned, Samurai Jack.
Yeah, because in Samurai Jack, before it came back, the last episode was him rescuing a baby. And that was it. That was all we had left of Samurai Jack for 10 years.
Honestly, anything under the Warner... If anything, if we've learned anything from this discussion and this presentation and what the future of HBO Max and things under Warner Media could hold, is that right now, nothing is safe. It doesn't matter if you're almost finished. It doesn't matter where your contracts are in terms of it. Any project could go under at any second. They are not afraid of cutting things for the sake of their own profits. And I know that's every company, but right now, with Warner Media, it is ruthless. Any upcoming movie, any ongoing show on HBO Max, which people have made charts of to be like, if your favorite show is on here, be careful. Anything on Cartoon Network, anything with the CW itself, never mind any of its shows, it's in trouble right now, and that's a shame because HBO Max was a decent haven for original content and a great library for other stuff. It's one of the most diverse streaming services in terms of content, but all that's in danger right now, and that's why people keep talking about this.
Gee, I
Yeah.
wonder who would have thought that having a Trump supporter be in charge of a application with diverse content was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I could not have foreseen that. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I didn't know much
It
about
is a
the guy.
mystery.
And I don't know much about David Sessler, but the more I learn about the guy, I feel like, well, he may be a good businessman in some other areas, but come on, this is the same guy who oversaw a lot of reality shows like Honey Boo Boo, 90 Day Fiance, which what the fuck is even a 90 Day Fiance?
Something that
Oh,
has
I
an
see what
entire
it
universe, apparently, according to HBO
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah,
I don't-
and also yeah, oh god,
Like,
it.
everything Selvas has been saying about the state of television in the last 10 years. What was that thing he said? There was a quote going around from, I think it was him, who was saying that, like, it was a soccer game where people kept passing the ball, the really expensive ball, and now it's time to do something different. You know, that's scary because we are still, while some areas of it have gotten a little thinner, especially when you look at like Netflix and certain areas of Disney, we are still in a great age of television. But if people keep coming in with attitudes like that, that could end quickly.
Oh, speaking
Yeah.
of which, I have a little quote here. I feel like this kind of needs to be said. Uh, yes, it's like a kid's soccer game. Everyone
That's it.
saw something that worked and started chasing the ball. It's way too expensive. This is what he had to say about scripted content and movies.
Right, and that's a dangerous mindset, especially when you are in charge of one of the biggest entertainment conglomerates on the planet. Just imagine if this guy got a hold of Disney. Imagine what would be under the axe right now. Warner is a lesser scale, but they still have a lot.
I swear to
Yeah.
God.
If you follow the branches, then a lot of stuff is in trouble right now if they keep this attitude up.
I swear to God.
Honest,
I'm convinced that Dickless David is secretly Ike Perlmutter in disguise.
pretty much. Or hey, I would compare him more to Charlie Bluthorn. If you don't know who he is, he was the head of Gulf and Western, who owned Paramount, and he was like the David Zaslac of his time. He was kind of like a very hard-boiled guy who is he was like a priority on profit, and if the movie goes over budget, he would axe it without mercy because he was all about the money. Or he was very nervous about the Godfather's ballooning budget. Then he actually went to Coppola and the producer and saying, "You better not be messing with my money because there's too much on the line on this." And at one point, he was, because if Godfather failed, they were gonna sell Paramount.
Actually, this reminds me of something. HBO in the 90s, there was this movie that HBO was working on that was the brainchild of a very famous writer and director that after it went a little over budget, they decided to give up on the project entirely until 20th Century Fox picked it up and they made it. And you want to know what that movie was?
What?
What was it?
Home Alone.
Oh
Wait.
my god.
Yep.
Wow.
Wait, what? This started as a Warner Brothers production?
Yep. Warner Brothers was the studio that was currently working on Home Alone, but after Home Alone went over budget, they decided to cancel it on their end, and thankfully Fox came out of nowhere and picked it up, and they saved the movie and finished it, and they released it after it was completed. They actually finished the movie with an $18 million budget. How much did this movie make? $476.7 million freaking dollars.
And pop quiz: who owns Home Alone now?
Exactly. Don't you don't you just love how life basically finds a way to screw Warner Brothers in the ass even harder?
Even
Yeah.
throughout the 90s, like when you roll call Warner Brothers films from the 90s, you'd probably say Batman in the end, whether it's Returns, Forever, or Batman and Robin. And who remembers the animated movies that Warner's released? Because barely anyone remembers that isn't the Iron Giant, which didn't do well in the box office.
Or Mask of the Phantasm, which also didn't even make money because Warner Brothers screwed the pooch on the marketing.
Ugh. Oh, and there was this other movie that they were working on at the time, but they apparently stopped working on the film and it got moved over onto a different studio because if I don't remember if it was because it went over budget or whatever the case it was, I think it was that they kind of they lost the interest in continuing it, but that movie would go on to be Slumdog Millionaire, make over $378 million in the box office, and win 8 Oscars, including Best Picture.
Yeah,
Good
it's not.
God.
Yeah, and Kate, remember Kate, you said something earlier that kind of brought something to compare. Remember the time when Kevin Smith was working on a Superman movie with Tim Burton directing? Kevin Smith
Yes, I do.
Kevin Smith asked, like, when he was reading the scripts before he was involved, he asked, why can't you just ask the comic book writers as a consultant on this? The studio said, well, those guys work on comic books. He
Oh
only
my
worked.
God.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Did-
did they know? It's not like the person who was in charge of Marvel's comics cameoed in every single movie they made until he died.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah,
Do you see
but this-
my? But do you see my point where they could have at least consult with Bruce Timm or Paul Dini how to write this?
I
Because
do believe that they would be able to have a good shot
Well-
there. Unfortunately, nobody high up considers animation a viable thing. It's exactly like what Manuel was saying about how the comic writers are looked down on because they write comic books, even though they created these characters you want to make money off of. Animation brought them to a new generation, but those are cartoons, so
Yeah.
they aren't prestigious enough.
Yeah,
So
and-
I do believe these people would do well if you gave them some work in the live action department. But it's unless they get some people who understand that those art forms are equally as valid, it's not gonna happen.
honestly, but to correct that, DC, they have one person being a consultant on their movies. It was the chief creative officer, Jim Lee. Yeah, Jim Lee, who was a great artist, but
Not a
But
good
before him-
creator.
yeah, but before him, it was Jeff Johns. If you could have asked a better consultant for DC, it would have been him. This guy was Mr. DC Comics, who wrote one of the best stories that the publisher ever published, with Green Lantern, Blackest Night, you name it. But he was until the Justice League behind the scenes drama. After that, he quit, became a producer, and he started working on Stargirl.
Yeah, he's a major person on Stargirl. I think he may be a producer.
He created the character in the
No,
comics.
I know he created the character. I mean the show. I think he
Yeah,
he
he's
had
a
a
showrunner.
major role. I just don't remember what his role was.
He was a producer and showrunner.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and when you lost Jeff Johnson, I feel like, all right, who? I mean, besides Jim Lee, I mean, he may have some knowledge of DC, but I doubt that they are going to listen to some of his opinions.
Nope.
Well, now that I think about it, now that you bring up this conversation, I think the reason why why DC is listed as a studio is because they're gonna try and tap into that comic book talent to see if they can make something out of the whatever the extended universe is or what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, which
But
is
honestly, considering all the controversy, I wanted to make this comment. Like, we went from what was supposed to be the DC extended universe has now become, at least to me, the DC Forsaken universe.
Heh.
yeah, but no, Jim Lee Jim Lee even said to a fan at a convention that put the nail in the coffin with the Snyderverse. Yeah, it was great to see Snyder's cut for Phil, but there aren't any plans to continue that anymore. Yeah, in other words, move the fuck on. It's dead.
Yeah.
I've been saying
Very
this
good.
for years, and now finally they're saying it. I mean, it took them fucking forever, but I'm glad at least somebody there is saying it. I just wish that all the idiots still saying release the Snyderverse can fucking get it through the thick skulls.
I mean, I don't really blame
Don't they have anything
any
better
of
to
them.
do?
I mean, there's more important stuff to deal with, but personally, I can't blame them. Like, I wish that certain things were done better without bringing up any names. But it's like, and I wish for that for DC. Look, trying. I think that part of the reason why the stock fell is because, like both Kate and Emmanuel mentioned, finding a Kevin Feige is easier said than done, and all the words that they've been throwing shows that they don't have any confidence in what they're doing. They have no idea what they want to do with DC as a whole. Like, they're gonna sell the comics, they're gonna try to make the movies and the TV show, but they have no idea what to do. They have no idea. Like, they're just gonna try and make the money that they can off of the films that are in post production, and I don't know, try to come up with a 10-year plan. What are 10-year plans even worth these days?
Right?
Yeah.
For
Good
DC,
question.
fuck all.
It's the same excuse with video game companies. Whenever they come up with a live service, we have a 10-year plan filled with massive amounts of content.
They're called roadmaps, and I hate those because it's like they're trying to hype up people for something, when it's like the best way to hype up something is to basically sell them on the game in the first place. Because
Right.
because it's like, if you hit it off the park immediately with decent content and stuff to do, then you can build up on top of that success. You cannot
Exactly.
promise for things to get better down the road. Things have to be good from launch, from the starting line, from the get-go. And honestly, in regards to DCEU Man of Steel, they flubbed it up. They absolutely flubbed it up. They could have done better with Batman v Superman, but we all know how that went.
Yeah.
Mm.
We all know how that went.
Everybody loved it?
Yeah, everybody.
And then everything else has
well,
been just a knee-jerk reaction. DCEU, like, I mean, Man of Steel had a vision. At the very least, I can kind of try to respect that. Batman v Superman was basically them trying to play catch up with the MCU. Suicide
Yes.
Squad was them with a vision, but then they turned a 180 due to the response of Batman v Superman, and they try to be more like Guardians of the Galaxy. And the only thing I can give Justice League credit for is the fact that they came out first before Avengers Infinity War. That really is the only thing I can give that film credit for. And that means fuck all at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. They would have been Infinity War to the punch if they stuck with the original plan by Snyder, where they did the first one, then they did the second one, where you basically
I'm just gonna say it. It's like, hey, Warner Brothers, congratulations on your release of Justice League. You got all this big cast. You got Aquaman, Wonder Woman. You got Aquagirl in the movie. That's cool. You got the Flash, finally. You got Batman, played by Ben Affleck. That's cool too. And yeah, and you came out before Avengers Infinity War. It's not doing so well with critics, and it's not doing all that much money in the box office. But hey, at the very least, you got it out before Infinity War. Was it worth it?
It's
Was it worth it?
I'm seeing the
It
image.
was worth it.
I'm seeing the image of Bart Simpson with a cake that says "At least you tried."
Yeah.
That's
I know I'm not the only person to make this observation. In fact, I'm sure several people in this call have done this. But it really says something about how they wanted to do big things but not spend time actually investing you in those things, just kind of hoping you recognize them as a comic fan when they kill Superman off in the second movie he ever
Yeah.
appeared in.
and
Like, just imagine in the first Avengers movie, remember that part where Tony's when Iron Man's in the in the black hole, and he falls down to Earth? Imagine if he had actually died there, and then he came back for some reason in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, the space portal, and yeah.
Yes, thank you.
that would
Yeah.
have been stupid. And what infuriated me most about that is that killing off Iron Man. Who the hell cares at this point? Iron Man is every Iron Man at this. Iron Man. I'm not talking about in his death in Endgame. That was different. Killing him off in the Avengers after
Okay.
what, 2 movies? That's stupid and makes no sense. But Superman, killing him off after 1 movie in the second film that he appears in, and wasting the death of Superman, which should have been one of the most iconic moments in movie history, something so generationally impactful and important, something that has affected comic book fans for decades, and you threw it away in the second film for a Superman that A, people didn't like, B, people didn't know about, and C, people did not want to see make a comeback, and you wasted it with him. Not only is this wasting a potentially good storyline, but you also wasted the opportunity for the death of Superman being a generation-defining moment in pop culture. Because the next time you do it, they're going to be remembering the Batman v Superman death of Superman and thinking, oh, it's better than that one, instead of praising it for being its own thing.
Looking back on it, Batman v Superman was never going to work, and there's already a couple of problems. There were already several problems with this film already. Like I said, Batman v Superman was created to play catch up with the MCU, but that comes with its own issues. The fact of the matter is that Batman v Superman felt like it felt like 3 films in a 2-hour package, because they were trying to basically establish an extended universe by basically bringing in Batman, then Wonder Woman, and then a little bit of the Flash and Aquaman here, and
Lord.
and Lex Luthor. I still think that Lex Luthor, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway,
Move on. We don't need to talk about it.
Let's move on. But anyway, I feel like what was supposed to be a proper sequel to Batman v Superman, it became like Iron Man 2. The problem is that compared to these two, Batman v Superman is a hell of a lot worse.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because it's like, yeah, go ahead.
If I beg to differ, personally for me, and yeah, I understand the reception of these movies fully. Like, I understand where everyone is coming from. But in my personal viewing and for the purposes of entertainment, I like these movies. Like the Zack Snyder Justice League trilogy, I still find an excuse to watch these movies whenever I'm in the right mood. I'm not telling anyone to.
That's fair.
I'm not telling anyone to like these movies because I understand where everyone's coming from. But because of my biased outlook towards DC, this is the closest thing to the best quality DC films that we could ever get. Because the last time we got a Superman movie, it was done with Brandon Routh and Bryan Singer as the director. And if anyone tells me that Superman is bland in Man of Steel, and I'm like, has anyone seen Superman Returns?
That really, you know what what he just said really sums it up. The fact of the matter, the only reason why we even watched these films in the first place was because that's all we had. We had Marvel films and we wanted a DC film, and they gave us, well,
Cheapy the
This,
cheapskate.
yeah, look, people can enjoy the films however they want. I respect that, but it's like I was, yeah, and I don't mean to take away your enjoyment, Luis, but it's like looking at it from a business perspective. I can understand why they did it. I just don't think that was the right plan. The other problem I wanted to mention is that I think they wanted to do a Batman film. The problem is that they've already done so many, so the origin story had been done to death. So they didn't want a repeat of that. But that kind of comes in. But they try to like push in, like squeeze in Batman in what was supposed to be a Superman story, and the execution of that was like so and so. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Continue, Kate.
Also, they also
Well,
still did the origin of Batman in Batman v Superman in the beginning. So much for that.
Yeah. Well, building on what they were saying, here Luis brings up an interesting perspective that we're not giving as much light because it's easier to criticize the Snyder movies. And let me actually just say, full disclosure, I haven't watched them. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not all that interested. I actually mentioned on Twitter once that I hadn't seen Batman v Superman, and I felt like I had to at some point because it was like obligated.
You don't.
And someone actually replied to my tweet being like, "Oh, honey, you have better things to do with your time."
Yep.
But
Yeah.
but the thing that we're neglecting also is that the reason we're here being Warner's business decisions is that it's for use a little colorful language here, it screws over the people who were interested in these movies. If you there like it or not, there were people who were enthusiastic and interested in Zack Snyder's interpretation of the DC universe, but because either they just didn't get the returns they wanted, they weren't matching up to Marvel, Warner cut it before it could reach any level of potential it might have had. And again, I can't speak for the quality. I'm just looking at this from a business perspective in that, yes, it maybe it was for the best, but it also screws over any potential audience you might have had. And to the people who didn't want it, well, what is there now? What are you doing?
I'll say this.
You want to replace this? What are you replacing it with?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I've been saying that. I've been saying that with what they've been doing recently before Discovery bought them out.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm very sorry for saying this, but I think it become evidently apparent that the only reason the Snyder Cut was released at all was not because they had any hope that it would it wasn't because they had faith in it or because they wanted to give Zack Snyder a second chance. They did it. No. They did it because HBO Max was tanking hard because they stupidly thought it was a good idea to release it during the pandemic, and they had no content worth promoting. So, what the hell can we possibly do to boost up subscriber count?
Yeah, and Snyderverse, there are a good amount of Snyderverse fans, and I'm not talking about the ones here in the call or anybody who is listening who are, civil-minded, rational people.
All two of you.
In some extent, putting a Snyder Cut out there did encourage people who aren't going to be open to another interpretation to just keep yelling. And that only makes your business model worse.
Yeah.
This isn't a thing specifically on Snyder's vision. It's Warner's decisions on how they approach these things. I'd be saying the same thing no matter if they were great movies, if they were awful movies. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that DC keeps saying they have a model. What Warner keeps saying, they have a model for where this is going. But because there's so much drama behind the scenes with the company and so many different people coming in with certain visions, that there's no chance of any real vision, especially not long term, coming through.
Yeah, it's like if the ship seems like it's gonna crash into a giant rock, you know what I'm talking about, guys. Then you got to turn your ship around one way or another. That's perfectly fine. But at the very least, you can take a detour here and there, but you mustn't lose sight of the end goal, the end game, or where you were going in the first place.
Yeah, you still got to set a new course, otherwise there's a chance of hitting another rock and another and another until you just keep veering around and going in circles trying to figure out how to reach land again.
Yeah, here let me to bring up an example with the MCU. The Ant-Man was actually supposed to come out before Age of Ultron, since Ant-Man was Ultron's creator in the comics. But what ended up happening is that Edgar Wright, who was the director and the writer of said film at the time, wasn't given had creative issues with Marvel, which caused the movie to be delayed, and they had to rewrite in Age of Ultron to accommodate this change in the schedule. In the end, Ant-Man did come out at the end of Phase 2.
With Peyton Reed finishing it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like
Yeah.
they had to change the movies around because of creative differences. But ultimately, we did get to see Ant-Man, and we did get to see Avengers Age of Ultron.
Right.
Those two films still came out at the end, even if there was a little bit of a bump or two in the road along the way.
Exactly. And this isn't a one-time incident. A lot of Marvel's bracket had to be delayed or shifted around a little bit because of the pandemic. But like with Disney Plus shows, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was originally supposed to go first, but then because WandaVision was finished first, that was the one that went first.
Wow.
And that ultimately wound up being for the best because WandaVision was an amazing first impression for this new experimental area. But that's the thing. They course corrected and they were still able to sail smoothly. I don't see that with Warner Media, and this isn't just DC. This is everything that's under them right now.
You know, I'm sorry that I tried to. I'm sorry. It's just that I wanted to say this, that I want to see a full documentary about the production of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because that would be an interesting movie in of itself, considering all the setbacks and delay this went through. It went through especially when they tried to shoot it here in Puerto Rico 2 times, I think.
Yeah.
There was a pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
It got delayed because of the earthquakes. Then it got delayed because of the pandemic. It's like this movie this show could not catch a freaking break.
Oh no. God damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, someone might be reviewing it soon. Check out a certain channel if you want to see that. Wink, wink. Cross promotion.
I think the word you're looking for is shameless plug. Wink, wink.
Also, I want to add something. I wanted to add this. But I think I blame Snyder for this, for basically reigniting people's love for the Snyderverse and to be continued, because, well, he could have just ended the movie how it was originally ended instead of adding another scene where we saw the things that what could have been, like an epic trilogy of Justice League movies where it felt like Lord of the Rings, where you had Darkseid, a villain that we always wanted to see, and we see him finally, until we realize, oh, this is not canon, and they're clearly not going to move on with this. There was supposed to be a New Gods movie, and with a good
this is just Zack Snyder giving a big F you to Warner Brothers for everything that happened regarding the Justice League. That's kind of like how I see this.
Yeah, pretty much. Or, I mean, heck, and also the fact that there was a twist there where a big important character that appeared in Man of Steel ended up being an important character in the DC universe. Even if a big green guy with a blue cape.
He's talking about Martian Manhunter, and he's talking about that guy played by Harry Lennox.
Yeah.
Better that guy than having a bald Lex Luthor appeared at the end of the credits.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What that casting was.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm going to be very blunt on this. We can point fingers at Snyder, at Hamada, at Johns, at anybody. Truth of the matter is, Zack Snyder is just a filmmaker. He's just trying to do his job, and he's trying to get his vision out for the world to see, however controversial and however damaging it could be. He's still just a film. He's done nothing regardless of how people view him in the horrible cult-like way that they do, he's still just a man. He's just a regular person. He is not the brunt of any of the blame for any of the troubles that we had here. He made a terrible idea with Man of Steel and subsequently tried to fix it with Batman v Superman. That didn't work, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, as in his Justice League, was definitely the right step in the right direction, but it didn't get to see the light of day because of the passing of his daughter, which is a tragedy that I'm not going to talk about in any respect. And he just wanted to make movies. Warner Brothers does not fucking care about movies. They don't care.
Exactly.
They don't care about the state of their films. They don't care about continuity. They don't care about what works and what doesn't. All they care about is the profit. But what they don't seem to realize is if you don't know your audience, the profit is not going to be there. Say whatever you will about Disney, but they know who their audience is, and they know how to promote their products, and they also know who to hire and who to not hire. There's a reason why we have not had there's a reason why in the 10 years, almost 15 years that we had with the DCEU, that we've only had one movie that can be considered not that good, and even that movie is considered a masterpiece by its fans. So that kind of shows you the level of quality that Disney has, as well as the loyalty that it has with its fans. With DC and Warner Brothers, your fans are more divided than the goddamn state of the United States right now. You got people who want to see new amazing movies regardless of whether or not Batman or Superman are in it, and then you have the stupid Snyder fans who just want the stupid Snyderverse to exist. You kind of damaged your own landscape, and because you refuse to tell these people that it's not going to happen because you're afraid of alienating a subset of fans who, despite knowing that you cannot do anything to give them what they want, is kind of adding salt on a gaping ass wound that you continue to pour into it no matter how hard you try to block it with a band-aid. Warner Brothers shot themselves in the foot, and now they're paying for the consequences of this.
No, they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They basically shot themselves in the foot and shot each one of their toes, and then they poured gasoline on it, and then they set it on fire.
And then they said, "Why isn't anybody looking at this fire?"
It's like, give me some water. It's like, oh God, I need to get some water. But instead of pouring more water, they just poured more gasoline, which causes the fire to spread even more.
Oh my fucking
God. And it's that famous meme. This is fine.
Yeah.
Just put David's face on that.
Sorry, Kate. Go on, Kate. My bad.
And I might be repeating myself here, but that's the whole sad thing about this conversation is that even with new people in charge, that where DC seems to be, they seem to be making the same mistakes again, and with other branches of its company, they seem to be squashing what potential is there, and if these are the people who are going to be in charge for the future, then it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. And for things that had promise, like the CW, like Cartoon Network areas, like all sorts of HBO Max originals. I don't know how much you guys have seen, but I recently finished the show Flight Attendant. It's really good, surprisingly. Anything with originality or, something that could be seen as high-end or expensive, it's in danger right now, and it's gonna be for the foreseeable future. And that's why we're having this talk right now, because we're the people, we are both the people who are going to suffer for it as an audience, and for people who sympathize and look up and respect creators and artists who are lucky enough to do this for their livings, but now said livings are in a lot of trouble.
Basically, to put it bluntly, sorry, you were saying?
I just wanted to say, first off, Kate, I agree with you. Flight Attendant is fantastic. I only finished the first season, but I love it. And as Seb said, it is dangerous right now, where the mentality that Warner Bros. Is going by, even before Zaslac is taken over, he's just gonna axe any movie that isn't gonna look as profitable into his eyes, because that's the mentality standpoint that we're gonna have to watch out what Warner Bros. Is about to do, because which is why it gives me less and less faith of what's to come in the near future.
Yeah.
I'm in the
Considering how many
mindset of
properties they hold, that's even more discouraging.
I think
honestly, from my end, I'm more on the cautious optimist. I mean, I don't know if I want to say cautiously optimistic, but more of just watching. I'm just gonna watch what their first DC movie is gonna be that is totally produced by them on whatever DC Studios, as it's like to be called now. What's gonna be their first movie to see how it goes from there. If it's not gonna, if it's not gonna work, oh god, it's hard to be a DC fan.
It already is hard to be a DC fan.
it's been hard to be a DC fan since Man of Steel came out, but
And probably even before then.
and you want to know what the saddest part is? And I think this is by far the best way to describe just how badly this whole thing is. The final words that I have to describe this, it really says something when Netflix now looks better by comparison to HBO Max.
That's the other thing.
Wait, is
Can
Netflix
I say,
better?
It
Is
is by
Netflix
a margin.
getting better?
By a margin. Okay, I just gotta say this. It really says something when Netflix is like drowning right now from its bad business decisions, and yet HBO Max and Warner don't take advantage of that by announcing new exciting things, but by giving even just as many cuts, if not more cuts, to their stuff, making them look worse by comparison. How do you look worse than Netflix has in the last 2 months?
I don't know, but they found the fucking way to do so.
They found a way.
You want to know what's hilarious? The CEO of Netflix had to say, okay, from this point on, we're going to focus on making quote unquote good content.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy for you guys to do that. All you got to do is, stop making Boss Baby seasons, stop canceling good shows, stop greenlighting crap from Adam Sandler and Amy Schumer and any other fucking etceteras that I can think of. Just, it's not that hard, guys. It really is not that hard. I mean, I'm not a businessman or a showrunner, and I don't have my own streaming service, but I'm just a guy with more than 2 brain cells to rub together, and I can tell you that whatever the fuck you're doing is sure as shit ain't working.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think we need to greenlight 8 more seasons of Is It Cake? But even those of us here who are not business savvy people, I think even we know that maybe Dave Chappelle shouldn't have a stand-up special for a while. Just give it a couple years.
Shit.
Maybe give it
Oh man.
Nothing forever,
It's
but,
like
just
it's like
Yes.
oh man, I'm here. Hello, my name is Netflix. Just look at the wonderful streaming service that I just look at this amazing streaming service I have. Yeah, we're not doing so well after pulling out of Russia, but we did it for a good reason. And unfortunately, we had to cut back on our employees and whoever's left over. We had to cut down on vacation time, but at least we have Boss Baby. Certainly, I mean, we're going to be better, but we're the most hated company, which I think it's something that we can be proud of. Hopefully nothing will hopefully somebody else won't come in and take that title for us. Wait.
Okay, we're waiting.
Good beer. Hey, Netflix, would you mind holding this? Sure. Wait. What do you do? Where are you going with that? Where are you going with that? Where are you going with that axe and with that flamethrower? Oh, I'm gonna cut down some shows and projects, and I'm gonna torch their remains.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Beware Zaslac the butcher.
No, Zaslac. No, I like to call him Zaslac.
No, seriously, that's what people are calling him. His employees have called him the butcher. Look at the general chat. Yeah, the butcher. Look at the chat. Look at the chat. Look at General.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah, I see it. Like
Oh, God.
Zaslac the Butcher. He's no Billy Butcher, but he's even worse than Billy Butcher.
He's
Yeah.
Gore the Butcher. He's Gore the God Butcher. Only instead of gods, he's killing good content.
Yeah. And Lewis, when you said that Netflix focus on good content, how do you explain Resident Evil?
That's a whole nother topic. We're not going to get into that.
No.
Honestly, watch the show and then we come back to it.
I watched the first
No.
episode. That's all I need to see.
Not really.
Oh god.
No, I already heard enough about that show. I mean, how is Netflix?
You know what, guys, I got a proposal. I am willing to stream the show here if you guys want it, and we can all suffer together.
No, thank
Can
you.
we say that on the podcast? Because I'm pretty sure you're not actively allowed.
Yeah, no, we're just
Yeah.
before we.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
Can we edit that out?
Excuse me while I'll drown in pain. No,
I'm good.
No, I
Anyway.
rather be drunk.
Anyway,
I think that's.
I'm sorry about that, but I'm done.
I think that's pretty much all we can add to this. I mean, this is by far the stupidest thing that Warner Brothers has done since they decided to get George Miller to do a Justice League movie and then cancel it. I'm pretty sure that at this point there really isn't anything more than I can add. I think that Netflix joke kind of said it best. But like, okay, I'll give one more pass, one more little thing. Okay, so you know that scene in the Batman where the Riddler is watching Gotham blow up and then flood in its entirety?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's just say somebody pointed out that in an alternate universe, the city of Gotham is HBO Max, while the Riddler is Disney Plus.
Oh, God.
And I think that pretty much says it best. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's been a while since the podcast had to continue. There's been a couple of technical issues, plus me being sick. But now I'm feeling better, and I'm back to making content. I'm finally working on my videos again. I finally completed the video process for my music and lyrics review, which should be coming out hopefully by next week.
Woo! I'm so excited for that one. I love that movie.
For now, though, thank you guys for being here. Do you guys have any final words?
Big corporate mergers were a mistake.
That is true. That's a fucking fact.
Disney got lucky.
Yeah, I don't know what else to add to this, man. It's just I'm really fucking depressed, and I really do hope that the people I'm sorry, the people who work in production, who work in the background, man, the pandemic has not been easy for them, and this is just more pain and suffering for them. I really hope that things improve for them, because as things are going, it's not looking too great. I really hope for the best. I really wish them the best. I really do.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, if there's anything, if I have to share any shred of dignity that left me with the most impression in all of this throughout the last 10 years, is Robin from Teen Titans Go telling kids to ask their parents where babies come from.
Wait,
You know
wait
the-
a minute.
you
We know where babies come from. They come from Philadelphia.
I thought they came from baby eggs.
Isn't it kind of sad that Teen Titans Go the movie is the best thing to come out of the DCEU?
Yep.
It's just mind-boggling.
And at this rate, they'll probably be the only show on Cartoon Network. Again, I know DC's the big thing, but this doesn't just affect DC kids. This is a lot of areas. So just find out what of your favorite shows Warner owns, and just be careful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, not just Teen Titans. apparently there's gonna be another Batman show, but Bruce Timm is attached to.
Yeah, the Cape Crusader, I think.
We'll see.
The Cape Crusader.
The God
Which-
returns.
We'll have to wait and see. But for now, that wraps up today's transmission. Thank you so much for listening to us. And before we sign out, I'd like to give a special shout out to our patrons, Wade in the Wings, Abigail Verzella, Chelsea A Crandall, and Kate from KateCast Reviews. If you like what you see here and you'd like to see more, check out our YouTube channel for reviews, video essays, let's plays, and more. And if you want to help us keep the lights on in this scorching desert we're currently living under, then check out our Patreon page for bonus content and exclusive rewards. I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews signing out, and I'll see you on the Wasteland.